Welcome to Heart, where dreams align, a place where faith and healing shine. Real conversations light the way to brighter hope and better days. Hosted by Pastor Gia with love so true. She guides us through the storms we knew. A safe embrace for every soul to mend the breaks and make us whole. Come together, feel the beat, lift your voice and take your seat. Heart to heart, will set you free, In this space, we find our key. Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to Heart. I'm your host, Pastor Gia Clinton, and we're going to talk about something that is awesome. We're going to talk about a chance meeting between lovers. I don't know if any of you've seen the movie where, I'm trying to remember, wasn't Diane Lang. It was Diane Lang and Richard Gere, and it was called Unfaithful. So we want to get into the deep dive of what makes people come together and meet, what makes an affair happen, what happens when people just have a chance encounter and they fall in love. So we're going to talk about a few things, but we're definitely going to talk about having an affair on a chance meeting. And sometimes it feels like people just kind of set you up for that kind of thing, or the universe just kind of makes it happen. But then there are times when we don't realize that we're in a certain place in our life. And when we're in this place, it's like we're looking for something. We're searching for something. We're dissatisfied with where we are. And then somehow you meet this mysterious stranger and you keep encountering this person. And then all of a sudden, it's like almost like fate, right? It's almost like fate because an affair happens. You're married or partnered and you're with your partner for all these years and it's dry, your partner doesn't look at you the same way anymore. And what happens is that your discontent, your feelings of being disgruntled really, really causes, I don't know, it's like it almost causes stars to align. Because in the movie Unfaithful, she had a dry marriage and, it was weird because the meeting and the encounter that she had with this gentleman was so, I don't know, it was weird. It was almost like it was designed. And she, as the affair went on and they got hot and heavy and all that, and she was lying to her husband. She was sneaking off to meet him, her lover, who was French, by the way. Yes, he was French. So, if you're going to be unfaithful, I guess it should be with a French guy. So she meets this French guy. They have this chance encounter. And so they, her papers are, fly away and she scrapes her knee and he helps her. And then all of a sudden they're just there and she vows never to see him again, but they're just drawn to each other. She can't help herself. And so my question to you, what is happening in that relationship that would make it so difficult that they literally have to, like an affair becomes that necessary? I think that there's something going on within our relationships after a certain time. That they talk about, you ever hear people talk about the 7-year itch in a relationship? After 7 years, you become complacent and the relationship becomes stale. And it can happen. It really can happen that a relationship becomes stale and it just, I don't know, you just feel like, you need something's missing, something's dry in the relationship and you want this excitement. You preferably from your partner, but then how do you communicate that? How do you communicate that, something's missing and you're having these feelings or these emotions without, first of all, hurting your partner? I mean, I think that is the biggest thing with hurting our partner. No one wants to hurt their partner. No one wants to say, hey, I'm not satisfied in this relationship. I don't know where this is going, but what we had, we don't have anymore. The relationship has become stale and dry. So when that happens, you really leave yourself open for, an affair. And affairs happen. We know that affairs happen. We've seen it, and in this case, in this movie, the husband was hardworking. He was gone all the time. You know what I mean? She wasn't getting the attention that she would normally get. And it was almost, I felt bad for her because she didn't know how to talk to him. They weren't communicating anymore. They had children and all this, and then it's like, how do I tell him that this perfect life that we have, that I should be okay with, I'm not okay? This is just not what I envisioned for myself. So I kind of think that when we talk in terms of affairs, there's two types of affairs. There's affairs of the heart, and then there's the physical, full-blown affair where you're having sex with someone else, and when you meet someone. So even lovers have been sued for interfering with marriages. The law calls it alienation of affection. There was a woman in California that sued her husband's mistress because they were having an affair. I thought it was really interesting, that you could sue somebody for that. I'd be on board with that. But I think that the most interesting thing of all was that, she was able to get in the first place. Like, this affair was going on, and, the husband had no idea. She started dressing different. Diane Lang's character started dressing different. She was beautiful. And I think it's Diane, or is it Jessica Lang? I want to say Diane Lang. But anyway, she's dressing different. She's the one that really looks young all the time. Like, she just never ages. I just think she's gorgeous. And he was, the husband was like busy. He was so out of touch with everything. It wasn't until, I would say, toward the end, he started seeing that there was something different about his wife. She's wearing her hair different, and wearing different perfume, wearing new clothes, and she's, dressing different, and she looks very alluring. And, she was spending more and more time away from home. Even spending the night in the city, like they lived in the suburbs, and she would go into the city and would stay. So like, how do you justify that? And like, what man, when we think about it, what man would allow his wife to just stay in the city? Oh, honey, it's late. I missed the last ferry. I'm just going to stay in the city. Yeah, but that happened last week. I know. I'm working on this committee. After a while, a husband, you would think, would get suspicious and maybe want to check things out. What kind of committee is she working on? Why is she always spending time in the city? And she doesn't spend any time at home. I think it's interesting that when an affair is occurring, the partner that is neglectful seems to be the most trusting. He's like, oh, she's not doing anything. Why should I, I'm not going to pay attention to that. I trust her. But he's not considering that the handwriting was on the wall. It was on the wall. She was dressing different. She was looking different. She was spending less and less time at home. She was taking secret phone calls, hiding the cell phone, things like that. And I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. If you're having marital difficulties, I'm sorry, but sometimes when we talk about these things, it does help. It really does. Sometimes a partner may feel like, my marriage has been stale for so long. I'm owed this. I deserve this. I need this. And they feel justified in doing this because their partner's neglectful. But if you're not communicating the neglect to your partner, is it still his fault? I mean, is he responsible for what he doesn't know? He should have figured it out. You don't even know why you're having an affair. So why would he know that he's being neglectful? You don't know that, you can't figure it out. So how would he figure it out? So I think that in those cases, we're looking for someone to blame. Somebody's got to take the fall for this affair. Somebody's got to take a fall for, my affections being alienated. I think that it just happens. And it happens because we're not allowing communication to flow. You cannot let a relationship go stale. How do you keep the fires burning in the marriage? You don't let them go out. And sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 80-20. But at some point, a couple has to come together and say, there's something wrong. And baby, we need to fix this. Or honey, I'm noticing some things. Or sweetheart, you're working later and later at work. You're not spending time with the family, and people are going to become defensive. They're just going to be defensive. What do you mean? I have to work and take care of the family. I got to make a living. You want to be in a poorhouse? I mean, they're going to get defensive. I have to work. My career is very important. The deceit and the deception. You know what? The Bible calls it deceiving and being deceived. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about that. When you deceive and you're being deceived, you can deceive yourself into thinking that this affair is justified. The kismet, we met, by chance. Oh my God, my eyes met his eyes. I skipped my knee on the street. It was so romantic. I mean, it was really romantic. At some point, I had to catch myself because I was rooting for her. And I'm like, no, you cheat. No, she's cheating. I can't. This is all romantic, but I cannot root for her. So, she scrapes her knee and then he helps her with the knee and he invites her in his place and he's trying to help her with her papers. And it was a windy day and all the stars were aligned for this affair. So I just know that in these cases, somebody's going to get hurt and then your family's going to be devastated. And people always get caught. You know why? Because I think people innately tell on themselves. A spouse may choose not to see it, but I think that people do tell on themselves. What do you think? I think they tell on themselves. I think they give it away. At some point you want your partner to know because the guilt is eating you alive and you just can't take it anymore. And it's like, I just can't. I can't handle this anymore. He's got to know. And when you start this affair, you ever notice how the guy you're having an affair with is supplemental? He can never be a provider. He can never be the family man. He can never be the husband that he was. You got all these memories, thrown in there. Maybe your husband has become neglectful at this point, but all the years before, how wonderful was he? You know what I mean? There's something good about that relationship. Otherwise, you would leave. You would not stay. No one is going to stay in a relationship where they are unhappy. And if you are unhappy, you really need to first examine yourself. Why am I unhappy? What am I feeling? Because if you're not in touch with what you are feeling at this moment, then you can't expect him to understand. He doesn't understand why you're unhappy. So we want to be in touch with why we feel, that this supplemental relationship is necessary. Other than the fact that he's French and he's hot, I think that we ought to have more of a reason as to why we're doing this. I mean, not all affairs end with a Frenchman, but in this case, in Diane Lang's case, it was. I think that, oh God, I don't know if it's Diana or Jessica. I can't remember. But anyway, they're sisters, the Lang sisters, and they're both actresses. So in any case, there was a full-blown affair, just passion and, just explosion of this heat and magnetism. So she didn't have that with her husband. In fact, when he went to touch her, she was like, no. She wanted to be faithful to the lover, to the heat, the steam heat that they were having, the sex that they were having. And so for women, it should be known that an affair starts, it's not necessarily sexual for them. It's more about their emotions and what's going on in their emotions. If they're emotionally neglected, they're primed for an affair. Men tend to be more sexual, and their affairs are sexual because of many reasons. It could be because he's being emasculated at home and he has to prove his prowess in some way, or he's been emasculated for so long, he's spiteful, and the affair is more out of spite. Like, I'll show her, I'm still a man, or it could be that the wife has shut him out and not having sex with him at all. And in that regard, he has needs, and he's expressing them to her. And she's like, look, get out of here. I don't want to do this. I'm not into this now. And this has gone on for months and months and months. Some couples, years. And then this woman comes into the office. She's hot. She's wearing that little slinky dress, and she's attentive to him. And, she's bringing him that muffin in the morning, with his coffee. And she's just paying him attention that he does not get at home. And so it's really not hard to see how an affair happens. He goes into a bookstore, or he goes into the grocery store to pick up something for his wife who nags, and his cart bumps into this other woman's cart, and their eyes meet, and it's just like, oh, it's just kismet. And so now he's attracted. He's aroused and attracted, because there's this heat, and it's mutual. And so there's not a whole lot of words being exchanged, but the communication is just like in a spirit realm. Anything that happens first in the spirit. And because we are threefold beings, we're body, soul, and spirit. Everybody knows that. And so there are some things that we just kind of pulled to us or called to us. And so now you've got this incredible chemistry going on between these two people who are both married to someone else. Or God forbid, the woman is single and he's married to someone else. It is a dangerous situation. At first, he may try to resist it. But then, he bumps into this woman again. Or, she slips him her phone number while they're in the checkout line. And he says, I'm not going to call her. I'm going to tear this number up. Rip, rip, rip. Puts it in his pocket. His wife starts saying nasty things to him, or he wants attention and she's not giving him attention. So now he's gluing this paper back together to piece together this phone number. It took him 6 hours, but he finally figured out what the number is. And now he's calling this woman. We might start off with a call. Hey, I'm Bill, and we met in the Piggly Wiggly or whatever the supermarket is, or this fresh grocer. And I just thought I'd give you a call. So that's code for I'm down for whatever, So sometimes we communicate things without actually saying it. Subtlety is a master art in deception and in affairs. We imply things, but we don't actually say them, do we? So now we've got this full-blown affair going on, and, he's sneaking off to meet her in a hotel. Pastor Gia counseled someone who was having trouble with her husband. They hadn't had sex in 7 years. And she confided in me that she met a gentleman in Walmart. Walmart, of all places. It was late night. It was when Walmart used to be 24 hours. Some of them, I think, still are. But she went late at night. She had been drinking, she says, and she had a little to drink, and she met this man, and they had sex right there in a Walmart. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. So they started their affair in Walmart, and then she saw him a few more times. She vowed she wasn't going to see him, but they were pulled to each other. The lust pull is real, people. Say it with me. The lust pull is real. So I was sitting there like, what? I never heard of anybody having sex in a Walmart before, or a store, but they did. They had sex in right there in the sporting goods section. And so they, I don't know whether they climbed under a tent or whatever, but they were out of the camera's view. They had sex in the Walmart, and she was afflicted. So she said, I can't help myself. When he calls, I come. I come right to him. I wherever he says, I meet him there. So it's interesting that her husband, who hadn't had sex with her in years, one day she came home, suddenly he wanted to have sex with her after 7 years. He wanted to have sex with her. They got intertwined into this thing. And so I think that the affair pull is real. He knew something was going on. I think when the two become one flesh, you instinctively know. You might not want to see it, but when your partner has designs on someone else. You just feel it. You feel something is wrong. You may not know that your partner had sex in Walmart, but you do know that there is a problem somewhere. You know that the pull, the oneness that you experience has now been interrupted some kind of way. That is a unique feeling that couples who are married get. I mean, people who are living together, I assume you might get these feelings too, but not as intense, because you're not really one. You don't have that spiritual connection. It's all changed. I had a couple that was living together for, oh my gosh, I want to say, wow, 15 years, 12 years before I married them. So they were coming to me, we were counseling, and they got married. The husband didn't want to get married at first because he was like, it was just a piece of paper. Pastor G, I don't need a wedding. I'm only doing this for her. He actually came to me after we did the counseling and all that, and they got married. He said, you know what? It's more than just a piece of paper. 12 years ago, I wish that we had made a different decision and just went ahead and got married. Oh my gosh, it was so much more. I mean, like, my business is great. And like, there's a certain blessing that comes with marriage. Each woman is given a dowry that is a unique gift that is unique to her, that I believe comes from the Lord. Like, her gifts, her talents, then go to the husband. Not that he inherits her talents, but somehow when they become one, those skills that she has are utilized really for his benefit and the benefit of the family. So it's kind of interesting that he inherits this dowry and that the Lord blesses this union. And, he said financially, we're really great. Like, they bought their first house because they were in an apartment. I never forget, I made a house call and I married them in an apartment. I went there with my collar, and I had the shawl collar and all that, my Bible, and I had the little black suit on and all that. And the neighbors were stopping me. Pastor, don't marry them. They're the worst couple ever. They fight all the time. They did. No one wanted to marry them. And out of all the couples that I have married, I have never gotten that much opposition. I had a pastor call me and was like, Pastor, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't marry them. I'm like, well, why not? I'm telling you, they're not going to make it. Don't marry them. Everyone was telling me not to marry this couple. In fact, he was supposed to marry them and turn them down. And, the wife then called me and she was crying. And I was like, all right, well, just tell me what happened. What's going on? And she was like, Pastor Gia, no one wants to marry us. And I love him and he wants to marry me and I want to marry him. And we want to make our life legitimate. I don't want to live in sin. I want us to be married. I'm like, well, how long have you been living together? She said 12 years. I'm like, well, why doesn't anybody want to marry you? She says, well, we do fight and all this. And I counseled them. He was very stubborn and he was very, a matter of fact. And I think this is ridiculous and all that. And so I had to really ask God to give me wisdom to talk to them. I'm like, oh, they're not the greatest couple, but okay. And so the more I prayed about it, the more I realized that maybe God really wanted these two people to be together, and they, it was like, the devil was trying to pull them apart. So even on my way, their wedding day, up to their apartment, people were stopping me in the hallway saying, Pastor, don't do it. Don't do it, Pastor. I was like, so that just made me more determined to do it at that point, to be honest. Out of all the couples I've married, they turned out to be the best one. The best couple. They have the best marriage. Like I would do, if I did a poster, it would be the two of them. The best marriage. They learned to really partner and work together, and just everything just calmed down after they married. And they had a son, and he was happy, gave his mom away. It was really touching. But their marriage had a strength and a resilience that most marriages that I thought was so perfect, and counseled these people. And I'm like, oh my God, they're so in love. Out of the three, I did 3 marriages that year. They were all within 5 months of each other. These 3 marriages, I was kind of, the marriage business was booming then. And so 2 out of the 3 got divorced, but not them. So you don't know. I mean, I had the one couple, they were military, and he was on his way to the base, and they stopped by. They came to my house to get married. And it was so neat. I'd never done a house wedding before like that. But they came, I took them to the study, I had a witness, and so it was really nice. The other couple, oh God, where did I marry them? Same place. Same place. They came to the study and all that, and they got married. The other couple, I went to their home and married them, and they are the ones that actually made it. So love comes strange, and we don't know how it's going to turn out. You can look at 2 people, you can't know how that's going to go. You can't know. Only God knows. Oh, well, there were red flags. Well, it's easy to say there were red flags when they break up. But when they're happy and they're in love and, it's great, you don't know how it's going to be. And all couples kind of start out, except for them, like they're in love, and they just can't keep their hands off each other. Not these 2. They couldn't keep their hands off each other, but it was in a different way. They were fighting. So Pastor Gia was really shocked. I was like, listen, we're going to do this wedding. I don't care what anyone says. We're doing this wedding today. And it was the best decision that I made. And of all the people that I married, I got to be honest, they are by far my favorite couple. And God really blessed them. They had a house built with her husband. Her husband was a contractor, and the house was beautiful. And they went from their apartment to a house, and they're driving Jeeps and Mercedes and all this. And God just really blessed his business. He had a contracting business that wasn't doing too well. After they got married, like that, the curse was lifted. The Bible says that marriage is honorable in all things, and the bed is undefiled. Now, what defiles our bed? When you start taking people in, sorry, Pastor G is not used to bangs, but you start taking people in a relationship or into your marriage bed, that is a problem. It is a recipe for disaster. You have defiled the marriage bed. So what we want to do is keep thee only unto her, keep thee only unto him, for as long as you both shall live. You really want to keep that covenant, because there is a blessing. The Bible talks about the blessing that comes with the covenant. You get really blessed in a marriage when the 2 become one flesh. And if people really understood that there is a blessing that comes with a marriage, a prosperity, a level of prosperity that you just don't see, everybody would get married. If they understood that, everybody would be rocking marriage. So, but most people don't understand that the relationship is blessed and it's sanctioned, and God will he just pours out a blessing. Money comes out of nowhere. You just live better and you have more. It is very difficult when you get divorced to be with that, because you go from being 2 to 1. Being single is very hard. To become one person again instead of 2, to be broken apart. And there is a level of suffering. There's a level of feeling displaced. There's a level of, loneliness that comes with that. And I don't think that anybody wants to experience that, So when you find marriage, when you find that coupling, the Bible says he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. That favor spills into every area of your life. So it's worth it to you to have God's favor on that relationship. So I'm not saying that, I think one couple was married like 7.5 years and they got divorced. One couple was married 2 years and they got divorced. My couple is going strong, 11 years now. So they were together 12 years. They've been married 11. So I am really proud of these guys because they put the work in and they trusted God with this relationship, even when it made no sense to anybody why, these two would choose each other. But they chose each other, and it's just amazing, you know? And I often remember how when we were in counseling and they talked about how they met, it was a chance meeting. It never should have happened. And he said, when he looked at it, was love at first sight. He just knew that there was something about her. He said, all I know is I just knew it was her. And she said the same thing. I knew it was him. There was something about him and I really wanted to be with him. I don't know what it was. And so when you find that, you keep that. You do. That doesn't happen often. Just as the chance meeting happened with Diane Lang and the French guy, and Richard Gere was the husband, although I don't know who would cheat on him, but everybody saw Pretty Woman. It was awesome. So I think that, just watching him as a husband and just watching the anguish that he went through, and when he found out that they were having this affair, how hurt he was. He was devastated. So much so that this affair erupted in him killing this guy. He did. And it all started with this globe that she stole from their house and gave to him. And they had been married so long, she'd forgotten the significance of why this globe was there. And he goes to confront the guy about having an affair with his wife, and he sees it. He sees the globe. See, the globe reminded her because it was windy and her skirt was blown up in the globe. And then these two guys were, they were coming together, in this wind. But that reminded her of her affair. But he remembered the day that they met. He remembered their encounter. And she had forgotten. She had forgotten about that. So when he sees this globe, he was like, how did you get this? And he's like, she gave it to me. It was a gift. And he was like, do you guys talk about me? Yeah, she talks about you all the time. We've talked about things. We know about your little problem and your money troubles. And so he's telling the husband that, I'm like, oh my God. I don't know how the husband kept his composure, but he was like, you talk about us? You talk about me? She tells you? Yeah, she tells me everything. So the French guy was being cocky. He takes this globe, he bashes him in the head with it, and he crushes his skull. And so then he has to take the body and hide it and all this. And it was just a horrible situation that she caused. And she, you know what? And then her husband told her finally he was going to turn himself in and go to jail, because he couldn't live with the guilt of murdering this guy. So she doesn't have her husband anymore. Her home is broken. And she doesn't have the Frenchman anymore because he's dead. So, what am I saying? These things end in tragedy. Are you kidding? An affair can end in tragedy. It really can. And the deep part is, the thing that was so upsetting was that she sat down and she thought about the day that she met that French guy. And she thought to herself, what if I had just walked away? That if he had gathered my papers, gave it to me, and I just grabbed them and walked away? What if I wasn't selfish? What if I had just, and she just lamented the day that they met. For as much as the passion meant to her, as much as the sex meant to her, as much as all of this magnetism and, this connection meant, at the end of the day, when she realized that she had decimated her life and her husband's life, like they were destroyed and he was dead, she really wished, what if I had just walked away and went home instead of doing that? What if I had just let him call me a cab, So oftentimes when we're dealing with an affair or we're dealing with unfaithfulness, it is something severely lacking in the marriage, something that has been severely neglected. People just don't, when you're in a covenant, they just don't, oh, I'm just going to have an affair. There's always a reason. Could be a dumb reason, but there's a reason. There's a reason. When I say dumb reason, I mean like, you know, your ego's so fragile, I'm going to get back at my partner. Or, you know, if it's spite, it's not a good reason. It really, well, there's never a good reason. Let me just say this. Here, Pastor G, you're good. There's never a good reason to cheat on your partner. There just isn't. I don't care if he is French. There's never a good reason. Or she's French. It works both ways. It does. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if she's Miss Universe. I don't care if he's Mr. Universe. There is never a reason, a good reason to do that. It just isn't. It is always better to walk away or leave your partner if that's the case. If you just are that unhappy, and rather than cheat on your spouse, leave him. Leave him or her. Don't cheat. Or try to find a way to work it out. You know what I mean? Once an affair happens, you've destroyed the covenant. It's over. And when something like that happens, women don't forget. Men don't forget. I thought women were tough. Men are really tough about that. They are. And affairs happen in marriages with women cheating on their husbands more than we care to admit. But it happens a lot. I don't think it's 50-50, but 30-70, 40-60 maybe 40-60. But it happens a lot. Too much. Too much. Yes, you can be forgiven, and yes, your partner could forgive you, but the damage that is done sometimes is beyond repair. And you might find that it's not worth it. What could be more heartbreaking than to cheat on your spouse? Than to allow someone to come in and alienate your affections from your partner? You know? I'll say this. Women who cheat may have what they call justifiable reasons. But how justified are you to cheat when you have a good man at home? He's not a good man. He's a Frankenstein. He's this, he's that. Oh, Pastor Gia, you're calling him a good man. You don't know that he's not a good man. Okay, this is ginger ale, 0. Pastor G is trying to be good tonight. There had to be something good about that connection to make you choose him in the first place. So to say he's not a good man is not fair. Well, he cheated on me first, and I'm going to get some good back. And, well, here's the thing. He cheated on you. You told him you were going to forgive him, but you don't. You told him you were over it, but you're not. Cheating is an awful thing. It is very awful. It's hurtful, and you destroy the lives of everyone. Because nobody gets away, believe me. You're not getting away. You are not getting away. You know, one fun fact about this couple, you know, there were affairs, you know, before they got together, but nothing after. Nothing after. When they made their decision to get married, they became one. And they have been on fire for each other ever since. They really have. And it's amazing. I think it's really amazing that you can make a decision and stick to it. So when a woman decides that she wants to have an affair, that she wants to cheat on her husband, we can make excuses. Well, I met him at work and we were working late, and you know, we're spending time together, and one thing led to another, because one thing doesn't always lead to another. There are people who work with people who don't sleep with them. There are people who, work with people and are not slipping around two towns over to have dinner with this partner, with this person, this third wheel. So you really have to consider that when you are cheating on your partner, some people can listen, some people can drown out the guilt, but can you drown out the fact that you are giving something so precious as your covenant with this man to another man? You are literally exchanging bodily fluids, mind, body, soul. You're exchanging all of that with a stranger. You've allowed someone to infiltrate the covenant, and you're having an affair. And I know what you're thinking, Pastor Gia. You don't know what my marriage is like. My husband is this and he's that, and oh my God, he's horrible. And I mean, he might be horrible, to you because you're cheating. I just don't think there's a justifiable reason for that. I just don't. I think the covenant has to be respected. You didn't just give your word to this person. You didn't just make a vow to this person, but you also stood before God and witnesses and made a vow. Well, and to you guys that are like, into that, sharing the bed and all that with other couples and wife swapping and all that, it's still adultery. It is still adultery. You are not spicing up your relationship. You're bringing other people into a covenant that was meant for two. So that's not good either. And for those of you that, well, my husband knows I'm having an affair, he's okay with it. I don't think anyone's okay with someone having an affair. God's not okay with it. You shouldn't be okay with it. You should want to be faithful to your partner. That is a real thing. Faithfulness is a real thing. There is nothing wrong with choosing your relationship. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you can choose your partner the first time, then when trouble happens and, things go on in a relationship, there could be a lot of pressure going on. Choose the two of you. Choose your family. Choose your partner. Because I believe he would choose you and has chosen you. So, and it's easy. It's like, well, no one's going to know. Satan always tells you, I won't tell a soul. No one has to know. We'll be totally discreet. Only for one night. Remember Luther Vandross did that song, Only for One Night? I'm telling you, someone's going to get hurt because it will. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, be sure your sin will find you out. You always get caught. You always get caught. Always. Yes, but Pastor G, I did that affair a few years ago. Nobody's caught me yet. Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows and just elected not to destroy his family, so he's not going to say anything. But I think a partner knows when someone is being unfaithful. I really believe that. I do. I think that we have to make a choice, and the choice has to be each other. I mean, when you think about it, okay, had she gone to him, what could the outcome have been? Honey, I'm feeling neglected. Even if he yelled and screamed, when he walked away, he was going to think about what she said. I find myself, thinking about other things and, longing for other things. What kind of things? Well, I don't know. I mean, men are looking and I'm looking, and because we've lost something. It's honest. It may not be what your partner wants to hear, but that's honest. And if you've lost something and you're now looking at other people, that's devastating. He's gonna be angry, he's gonna hurt, he's probably gonna yell and scream, but he's gonna have to, if he's smart, think about what she's saying. My partner is saying, I am looking at other people. I no longer find you interesting. We don't spend enough time together. We're a stranger. We're two strangers in a house. So we really want to, you know, pay attention to that because he's got to go away and think about that. He's going to be angry. He's going to blame her. If he's a narcissist, he's going to flip it and blame her. And you should be, and this and that. And this was all you. What about when this happened? But if he's a man and not a man baby, he will take a look at what she's saying, examine it, and then go to her later. Probably not a good idea to kind of talk about it at that moment. He might want to choke her, might be angry, might accuse her of that, and it's not happening. So you go to her later when you're calm and you thought about it and you want to take a man's approach, and you say, honey, when did this start? What would it take to make it better? Tell me what you need. Tell me what you need. If you're your brother's keeper, you're certainly your partner's keeper. And if your partner is struggling and they're honest enough to tell you, your response shouldn't be, get out of here, you Jezebel. Tell me what you need should be the response. You have to be able to communicate and say, tell me what you need. You know what you're saying to your partner? You're communicating to your partner, what you're feeling at this moment matters to me. So much so that I will do anything to fix this, so that you don't go out and feel that you have to get someone else to supplement our marriage. So you want to find out what your partner needs. Or, maybe plan it to, honey, why don't we plan a trip? Get away. Get away from the normal hustle and bustle. We probably just need to take a trip, baby. We need to spend some time together. You want to recognize when your partner comes to you and says something like that, there's fear. She's afraid, and you should be afraid. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because your partner is saying, I'm on the verge of losing us. So oftentimes they don't say anything because they're afraid of their spouse's reaction. But we don't want to be afraid of that, do we? We don't want to fear that. We don't want to say to our partner, you don't matter, or I don't care what you're feeling. Because you should. You should care what your partner is thinking. You should care about how your partner feels. And if they're saying this to you, they're telling you because they're struggling. Not everybody has the ability to be honest like that. If your partner is choosing to be honest with you, you ought to choose to listen. Or if you notice something weird going on with your partner, you need to rise to the occasion and handle it. You can't always know what a person is feeling until they tell you. But oftentimes there are signs that this isn't working. Something's happening. I'm struggling. Those are the words that you need to listen for. I'm struggling doesn't mean that you did something wrong. I'm struggling means that I'm having a problem within our relationship. And a person shouldn't be judged or penalized for telling you that because they're honest. When you're honest, it is very important to remember that someone has told you the truth. And because they told you the truth, you have a responsibility to answer what they're saying. You do. You do. So I think that we have to really look at why a person would choose to have an affair. What is going wrong in the marriage? Because there's something going wrong. Something is happening. Something is making them feel that they can't trust you, or their feelings have changed. The song you're listening to is Atlantic Star. It's called Always. So, I mean, sometimes it's just paying attention, noticing things, stopping it before it happens. So, I like that song because it talks about always, it talks about forever, and relationships are tough. They are tough. They are really hard to navigate. And when you are in a partnership, you're in it together. And you can, the relationship can be rekindled, it can be revived, it can come alive, but you got to be willing to put the work in. You just have to be willing to be honest and say, maybe I have gained 5, 6, 20, 70 pounds, and maybe my partner isn't attracted to me as much anymore. I'm going to do something about that. Not for him, but for us, or maybe, I am working a little harder than normal. I need to pay attention more. Or, you know what? I'm just going to, surprise her and take her out to dinner. Or I'm going to surprise him and take him, to a football game or whatever they like. I think it's about an equal give and take. And if there is not an equal give and take in the relationship, you will lose the relationship. No one wants to be in a relationship and be miserable. And if two people have found each other, oh my gosh, what could be more amazing than that? When two people find each other and they are happy and they are looking at forever, you don't want to be with anyone else but this person. You can only think of this person. Your heart skips a beat when you say their name. You mean it's like this romantic experience. Then you get married and all of it stops. Shouldn't happen. You have to work toward keeping the marriage alive. You have to work toward making it special, making it count. And then affairs don't happen. There are people out there who've been married 50 years, 60 years, 40 years, 30 years. They don't cheat. Everybody does not cheat. There are people out there who are faithful, who love their spouse, who love their family, and they won't cheat. They won't. They will work at their marriage. But you have to have a partner that's willing to work with you. One person cannot save a marriage. I'm going to say it again. One person cannot save a marriage. I love him enough for the both of us. You can't do it. He has to put into that relationship or you're not one. You're just one person trying to prevent the Titanic from sinking. Oh, Pastor Gia, you just don't understand. She had a rough childhood. I'm going to nurse her back to health. I'm going to love her for the both of us. You cannot love a person beyond their capability. You can't. If they don't possess the ability to love, your love is not a substitute for their love plus your love. That's ridiculous. The math doesn't track. It doesn't add up. It doesn't work. It's philosophical nonsense. You must put love in. He must put love in. There's got to be an equal give and take. And we do take our partner for granted. Let's talk about that. It is possible that we are, just taking our partner for granted. Oh, she'll just be here. Or, oh, well, she doesn't care. Or, oh, oh, my wife will understand. Or, she doesn't care. She does care. He does care. He cares. Oh, well, my husband, he doesn't care about those things. Yes, he does. He cares. And you've got to care enough about the relationship to fight for it. When it comes to your marriage, you need to be a gladiator. If you're in a relationship and you're noticing there's some changes in your partner, because once you get divorced, very rarely do they go back. They just don't. It happens that the percentage is small. Once you cross that threshold, people are like done. Once they start filing them papers, that's it. You got to start there. You got to start before all that happens. Once that happens, it's over. It just is. There's been enough things that have built up in that relationship that you're ready to break it off. So, and it's not always about an affair. Sometimes it's just about the way you're being treated or not treated. Ladies, I say this over and over again. You want to be loved. You want to be adored. You want to be respected. Not respected, but you want to be loved and you want to be appreciated. Men want to be respected. They don't care about your love. They want to be respected. Love is important, yes, but the most important thing is the way you look at them, the way you reverence them, the way you talk to them, the way you treat them. Hurt a man, you wound him deeply, and he is never going to forget it. Never. Men are tough and strong on the outside, but they're like wounded little 5-year-olds on the inside. And when you hurt them, they hurt deeply. That could start the down spiral of a marriage. Some men don't forgive those kind of things. You should, but they don't. They take it real personal. They're not going to forgive it. They're angry, and it can make them turn to someone else. You have to have a level of communication in that marriage that when something's wrong. You know how to talk to your partner. You know how to use a safe word. You know how to entreat your partner. No one should know your partner better than you. No one should know your man better than you, ladies. No one should know him better than you. And stop telling your friends your business. They don't need to know how long he lasts in bed. They don't need to know what you did Saturday night. They don't need to know any intimate details of your relationship. It's ridiculous. This is something that's intimate between the two of you, not the three of you or the 6 of you. Stop telling them about your husband, even on the smallest level. Oh, your husband just seems like such a great guy. He is. Oh my God, last week. Oh my God, he took me to Fogo de Chao. And oh my God, he did this. And oh my God, you should see the diamond he bought me or the bracelet he bought. Stop it. You're provoking jealousy. You don't know what this person's true intentions are. She could have a voodoo doll at home with your husband's face on it, just sticking pens in it and stuff and doing sex magic and witchcraft and everything to get this man. People are nuts, and not just for that reason, but you want to be faithful. It's yours. It's intimate. Your sex is intimate. Nobody should have to have knowledge of what he's like or what she's like. Can you imagine? Your wife shouldn't be a part of locker room talk. Your husband shouldn't be a part of locker room talk either. So you want to keep the marriage sacred. Period. That is personal. That is intimate. Well, I just told my best friend and she won't tell anybody. Please. She'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends. Before you know it, it's all over town what your husband's like. Everybody knows. So let's not do that. Let's honor the covenant. You just have to. No one should know anything about your husband or anything about your wife or your intimate bedchamber. It is private. So, my best friend was cheating with my husband. What does your best friend know about your husband? She know about your arguments, and you're sitting there and she's taking your side and she's sitting there going, I will know how to please him. I know what he needs. You are giving people intimate knowledge and insight into your relationship, and you should not do that. You should never, ever do that. Ever. Oh, sorry. Pastor G, be right back. The radio's on. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. That took a little longer than I expected. So, one of the things you've got to understand is that your marriage is always a target. Always. People look at you, they think you're happy, they see a spouse, they see you two as a couple, they don't have that, or they're miserable at home. You don't know who's jealous, you don't know who's going to come after you, so you create a united front. You don't let anyone in your relationship. It's only supposed to be about the two of you. No one should be knowing about your experiences. No one. So let's change gears for a second. It is before you get married. You're in a courtship situation. You're praying for a husband. He's praying for a wife or not. Or maybe you just given up and it's like, men suck. I don't care anymore. I'm just never going to get married. Or I'm never going to meet anybody. Or, every woman I meet is a serial killer. I'm done with this. And then, you tried online dating and you did all of these different things that are weird, like the online dating is different. Some people meet on online dating and they meet the person. It's a lot to get through when you're online dating. You have to kind of vet the person. You have to, it's just harder. I think online dating is harder. Although we live in an age of technology, Pastor G always says there's no substitute for meeting someone the old-fashioned way. What happens, you meet this person, you're not looking for it. They're not looking for it, you're not looking for it. And your worlds just collide and you meet each other. And it's amazing. What happens? What do you think? Can this go the distance? Then suddenly two people who weren't looking for anything find each other. And it's amazing. What happens in that relationship that makes it different, that makes it go the distance? Is it the passion? Is it kismet? Is it serendipity? Is it anything that you've done? Or was all the stars aligned and you were meant? Is it destiny? What is it about the relationship when you meet and your worlds collide and it's a chance meeting that makes it so special? Is it special because, hey, I wasn't even looking for this and this came? Is it special because, oh, wow, I don't know what happened, but, this and this is going on. And, I think that this is it, There are things that go on in a relationship. that just happen, and it's the energy. And sometimes, it's two people are just destined to meet, maybe because within this union something special is going to happen between them, something special, or they're going to create something special. Like, if you ever think, all right, let's say President John F. Kennedy, right? John F. Kennedy's parents met. What were the odds of those two meeting and then producing a child that would one day become president? Not just president, but one of the greater presidents that we've had, one of the best. Barack Obama's parents. What are the odds of these two people meeting? How did they meet? Was it a chance meeting? Were they happy? Well, I mean, his parents obviously were not, but the Kennedys were, though. I think that there's like a divine destiny that comes with meeting, and the way people meet, the way they communicate with one another, and what happens between them. So to say that a meeting's just a meeting, I don't think so. I don't think there are any accidents in the universe. I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in, oh, well, I just bumped into this person and we met and nothing's going to become of it. And then you bump into this person, then you see them again and the feelings are even stronger. What are the chances of that, right? I think that sometimes, so two people meeting, what if you decided not to go into that particular place that day? Or what if that person decided, I'm just going to keep going, say you met in a store. What if the person says, I'm not going, I'm just going to, I'm just not going to do that. Or what if you decided, I'm not going, I'm just not going to do that? What are the odds? Or two people can be in the same store and just never see each other. Never. But there has to be something special, something serendipitous about two people just meeting by chance like that. Just bumping into each other, or they see each other, their eyes meet, and it's like, oh my God, what's happening? What is happening? And it just, something just happens. And then you walk away thinking, you're not going to see this person again. And then you see them again. It's like, oh, it's just meant to be. And, you talk, you converse, and it's like you've known each other forever. There's something about the connection that's familiar and unspoken. And so it is an amazing thing to have that experience, to meet someone in that way and to experience that. I was like, what are you going to do with that? How do you run away from that? It's just meant to be. And so I think that there are connections that happen for a reason, for a purpose. Sometimes we meet people for just many different reasons. Sometimes people catapult us into our destiny. Sometimes people are just meant to become best friends. Some people are meant and destined to be lovers and to be together. It is their time. It's their destiny. And I think that to say, I would have to say, Pastor G would always say, I don't believe in love at first sight. I don't think it's real. I do think it's real. I do believe that is real. I think it's a real thing. I think that you can meet someone and I don't know, it just happens. Something happens. Something unexplainable happens. There's a connection that you don't understand, but it's just there. And two people are drawn to each other like magnets. So I do think that can happen. And I do think that there is a purpose in it. And if those two people are fortunate enough to go the distance and really, create a life together, I think they're doubly blessed because they have this connection that's unexplainable. It's like they've known each other forever and they've just met. That is real love. That is something that, I don't know, it's more than just passion. It's a connection. I don't know, it's purpose driven. It's more than just, I don't know, I think he's hot or I think she's hot, or there's something there, something unexplainable. when two people meet. Or, I've had couples that tell me they met online and when they saw each other, they just knew. They just knew. That is the kind of connection that I'm talking about. When you see the person and you just know. I once asked someone, do you think a man knows when he meets a woman what she's going to be to him or what he wants from the connection or if she's the one? I said, do you think that a man needs time or do you think a man just knows? He says, a man knows. He always knows. And I thought that was so amazing and so direct and upfront. I think that men do know when they meet a woman what she's going to be to them, who she's going to be to them, where he would like things to go. So I say to you ladies who have these man babies that are saying they don't understand and they need more time, and he's just not it. He's just not it. You can stay there and waste years and years and years hoping this person will see you finally and kind of recognize who you are, or you can leave that connection, a well-deserved leaving. I'm talking about the dating situation. I'm not talking about marriage. But you can leave that connection and allow God to bring you the real thing. Because I can tell you, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. And when you have that connection, you're not going to want to let it go. You're just not. You're not. You just know. And that is a connection that's worth waiting for. Why be with someone that's saying, oh, I don't know, I'm just so confused, I'm not sure how I feel about you. And I'm not sure how I feel about you means that I really know I don't want to be with you like that. I mean, you're good. You check off some of the boxes. I just want to hold you in place in case someone comes along, until someone comes along that checks off all the boxes. And then I'm going to dump you. But if no one comes along and it's my only choice is you, then okay, I'll keep you. That is horrible. But people do that because people are selfish. And so when you have this connection and you're struggling in the connection, there's no two people meeting and coming together. It should flow like water. You've heard Pastor Gia say that before. If it's not flowing, something is wrong. And it's not always Satan. Sometimes it's just you two aren't meant to be together. And the longer you stay, the more time you waste, the more you lose an opportunity to meet the one you're supposed to be with. Sometimes a man just wants to waste your time. A woman just wants to waste your time. Don't waste your time. You see something's not working and there are red flags. Yes, you're lonely and you don't, you just want to stay. Well, I could change them. You cannot change a human being. Only God can do that. You can pray for this person for years and years and years, and they will stay the same because it is not meant to be. It's not that God is being mean. He's not going to force his will or your will on another person. He's not. If that person is not meant to be with you, let them go. Let them go. You will be happier if you release this person and wait for the opportunity to meet your person. Your person will get you. You know what I mean? They will see you and you will see them. And it will be amazing. But as long as you hold on to something that just does not fit, does not work, I promise you, you will delay your destiny. Some people miss destiny because they end up with the wrong person. Don't do it. If you're constantly bickering or if you're having trouble understanding your person, if they're making you feel confused, because sometimes they do, and they're telling you they don't know if they love you, they don't know what they want, or can't say I love you, or show no emotion, this kind of thing, something's wrong. They don't love you. They're not into you. And you are hoping against hope for something that is not going to happen. Not going to happen. You can't win the heart of someone that doesn't love you. Love has to be there from the start. And so if it's not there, the relationship's not going to work. You're always going to be in a state of confusion. You're going to always find yourself chasing an emotionally unavailable person because they are just not into you. They're not there. They're not the one. Not that you aren't worth being into. You're an amazing person. Are you kidding? You're a rock star. What? That's not what Pastor G is saying. What I'm saying is they're not into you because they're not the right person. You deserve to have somebody that's going to love you the way you love them. You deserve to have someone that knows how to talk to you, that knows how to entreat you, that knows how to make you feel special for the rest of your life. Every day and for the rest of your life. Remember that line from Casablanca? So if you're not willing to do that, then you're saying to the universe, to God, to yourself, I'm not worth loving. I'm willing to settle for not being loved or partially being loved because I'm not worth waiting for. I'm not worth making the sacrifice for. I think that is a horrible thing to feel and to say. When you're so desperate and you have so little faith in what you want, you're willing to forgo your future and sacrifice your life to be with someone that doesn't love you, someone that doesn't have an understanding of you, someone that doesn't get you, someone that just doesn't care. You will be a very lonely person. You can be in the same house with a person and be alone. I'm going to say it again. You can be in the same house with a person and still be alone because the two people are not one. They don't get you. You don't get them. And it's just awful to think about that. When you think about love and how special it is, the things you could do together, the places you could go together, and you have a person that's just not doing any of that, why stay? Don't stay. Don't ever settle for what is not meant to be. And I know it's like it seems harsh because it's like, oh, Pastor Gia, I really love this person. Trauma bonding is not love. Trauma bonding is not love. When a person has deprived you in a relationship and deprived you, and you start to feel like, just a little bit of attention from them, just a hello, just a pat on the head, like you're a puppy, or just oh, honey, I got 5 seconds to talk to you, but I thought about you within these 5 seconds and I'm going to talk to you. That is not love. It is not love. It's not equal give and take. It is not something that is going to last. You will find yourself miserable, confused, and broken because you have someone that is not right for you. That's why they're cruel. That's why they're nasty. That's why they ignore you. They're not right for you. They're probably not right for anybody, but they're definitely not right for you. You deserve better. You can do better. You can. You deserve better. You're worth more than what you're allowing to come into your life. Oh, but Pastor Gia, I just love Cleavon. You don't understand. He is an amazing man. Okay, what makes him amazing? Well, he's a man. Yes, you said he's a man. What makes him amazing? Because he has pants? What? Why is he amazing? Oh, he loves me. How does he tell you? Does he tell you he loves you? Well, he's not the most affectionate, but he really, he's something. Okay, what is he to you? Well, we do spend time together, not a whole lot of time because Cleavon is gone and, we travel, both of us, we travel, our jobs travel. Okay, so what happens when you come together? Well, we don't usually have a whole lot of time together, but, it's special when we come together. What makes it special? Well, just us being together. Okay, I get that. What about when you're sick? Does Cleavon help you when you're sick? Well, he mostly just ignores me when I'm sick, tells me to suck it up or tell me I'm not really sick. I'm just trying to get attention. But, that's because he's a man's man. Oh, man's man. What makes Cleavon a man's man? Well, I mean, like, he doesn't like emotion and affection and things like that. He doesn't want you touching him. He doesn't want you kissing on him. Cleavon is just very, old school. Must be a pretty old school. What is it, a tomb? I mean, is he a corpse? Like, what do you mean that you can't touch him? He doesn't like it, Pastor Gia. I just try to keep the peace. And he's always saying things like, well, I have to put up with you. So Cleavon has to put up with you. Are you putting up with him? Oh, he's perfect. What makes him perfect? So far, he ignores you. He does absolutely nothing for you. You spend very little time together. When you do, it sounds like it sucks. I'm just saying, what is going on that makes this man so special? You're used to the abuse. You're used to the neglect. Neglect is abuse. When you are in a relationship with someone and you are not spending time, you're not talking to them, you're not planning trips with them, you're not doing things with them, you are neglecting them. You are emotionally neglectful, emotionally unavailable. That is, to me, the cruelest thing I've ever seen. It just is. There is no substitute for spending time together because that is how you bond. That is what makes the relationship happen. It is what makes the relationship special. You have to bond with this person. If you're not bonding, something's wrong. The relationship's not healthy. You should bond. The relationship should grow. If the relationship is not growing, there is something wrong with the relationship. Oh, well, I get on his nerves and I do this and it just makes him upset. You shouldn't have to apologize for breathing. Let's just start with that. Ladies, you should not have to apologize for breathing. You should not have to apologize for being who you are, your authentic self. You are not too much. Well, you might be too much for him. You might be just too much woman for him, but you are not too much. There is a person out there, I promise you, that will love all of you. Love who you are. Love the way you, laugh. He'll love the way you cry at movies. He'll love the way you, how affectionate you are, how you curl up to him and lay your head on his chest. There is someone out there that will love you, that will not act like you're too much, not act like you're bothering them, not act like, oh God, don't come over here. What are you doing? That is not love. That will not act like you're a problem. This is a person who's a nut that you are allowing to make you crazy. And then when you're crazy, you won't recognize the real thing when it comes. You're going to be so self-conscious, so beaten down that you will have nothing to give the right person. That is why it is so important not to stay with someone who you are not meant to be with. Period. You can't fix them. You can't change them. You can't pray them into being the right man. You kiss a frog, it's still a frog all day long. He is not going to turn into a prince. A frog is a frog is a frog. Rigga. You can't make him be what he's not. You just can't. So, what's Pastor G is saying? I know Pastor G is saying a lot, but I really want you to get that in order to make something work, in order to make a relationship work, the foundation of that relationship has got to be that the two of you are compatible. It's got to be that the two of you understand each other, speak the same language, or at least in the same region of the same language. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There was a book all about that. I don't think that's true necessarily. I think that what happens for the most part is that we choose people that don't get us. We choose people that we don't understand. We choose people that we're going to have poor communication with. And we don't want to make any waves because, oh, Pastor G, I don't want to make any trouble because if I make trouble, then he's going to get upset and he'll leave. Maybe it's time for him to go. If he wants to leave, let him leave. Let him leave. You don't owe him anything. You don't owe him your sanity. You don't owe this person anything. If she wants to leave, let her go. Just say, this is just not working out. I've tried and tried and tried. We've been together. We've tried and tried. We rinsed and repeat, rinsed and repeat. It doesn't work. I am just not right for you. And it's okay. Put it on yourself. It's not you. It's me. I'm just not right for you. Oh, we're going to make it work. No, we are not. I am not going to sacrifice my happiness for you. I'll say it again. I am not going to sacrifice my happiness for you. You do not need to sacrifice your happiness for me. I do not require that. Because somewhere out there is the person, your person, who is awesome. I promise you they're awesome. I promise you that this person gets you, you get them, and you are going to be happy if you give it a chance. Give it a chance. Walking away is never easy, but it becomes necessary when something is interfering with your destiny. And oftentimes, when it's interfering with your destiny, it's because God has a great plan for you. And you've chosen someone that doesn't fit his plan. You've chosen someone that, you think about the great marriages in the Bible. These women got these men, and these men got these women. You know what I mean? They had a level of communication that was just there, It just was. Except for Adam and Eve. That whole garden thing was terrible, but we can't use them as an example necessarily, but there are others. All right, Esther and King Xerxes. Are you kidding me? Vashti, his first wife, didn't get him, but Esther got it. So much so that it was an edict, a law that said that if you went before the king uninvited, you could be beheaded. Esther went before her king 2 times without being invited. And he extended his scepter to her and said, Esther, my queen, what do you want? Up to half my kingdom is yours. Whatever you need, I got you. Anybody else would have been beheaded. Vashti, the first wife, he'd have cut her head off. So I'm saying to you that when you are with the right person sees you. They understand how special you are. They know what they have. They look at you and they see their counterpart, their other half. They see in your eyes the person that's going to bring them happiness, the person that's going to help them achieve their destiny. You're on the same page. If you are not on the same page, if you cannot see forever with this person, don't waste their time. Don't waste your time. Find and fulfill your destiny. Now, let me be clear. Ladies, your destiny is going to find you. Gentlemen, go hunt. You need to find your destiny. Clearly, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor with God. You must search for her. You must look for her. And when you seek her, you'll find her. But I can't say that totally, because there are times that you don't have to look and you find her. She's always been in your orbit. You just never noticed her, and God will wake up your awareness and suddenly you'll see her and you'll know, or you'll see him and you'll know. I just think that if we don't sweep the things that don't serve us out of our lives, if we don't get the things that are not meant to be there out, you will never find what you truly need and what you're truly meant to have. I mean, truly meant to have. It is unusual for someone not to find destiny. You know, it comes. You might ignore it or you might not recognize it, but it comes. Destiny comes knocking. If you are ready for it, you open up and you've got something special. If you're not, you spend the rest of your life searching for something that may have been in front of you the whole time. Or, you know what I mean? Or you settle for something that's going to make you miserable. And let me say this, ladies, misery, if he's a monster when you're dating him, if you marry this person, he's going to be even bigger monster. He doesn't become less of a monster. He becomes more of a monster, like to the 10th power. You want to pick someone that you want to pick someone that you can build with, that gets your vision, that's going to love you unconditionally. And you're going to love them. I think that when two people, how they meet is important. I would say how you start out is just as important as how you end. It does matter. So whether you met at Joe's Crab Shack or, a furniture store or a supermarket or, a perfume shop, a bookstore, the important thing is that you met. That's what's important. The important thing is that you met and you connected. You found each other. And it's rare, but it happens. And I think it's more rare because we don't give ourselves the opportunity. We don't wait. Cletus here checks off like 3 of my boxes. I have 10 boxes. Cletus checks off 3. I'm getting older. I want to get married. Half a man's better than none. That's not true. It's just not. The bee's knees is having the person that you're meant to be with. That's the bee's knees. That's the best of the best. Well, I will make it work. I can learn to love him. Do you really want somebody you got to learn to love? And how lovable are they? If you can love them before you married them, how lovable are they going to be after you marry them? Because then they don't have to put their best effort forward and they don't have to be like smooth and suave. And then you see them in their natural habitat and it's every day. It's like, oh God, I love this man. I love them. You can't will yourself to love someone you don't love for the sake of not being alone. And it's unfair to him because he could find somebody that loves all that gorgeous hunk of man candy. He might not be your flavor, but he could be someone else's flavor. And you're definitely keeping her from being with him. So it's not fair. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to them. So I think that we ought to really consider how love works, how we work in love. Coming together is the most important thing you're ever going to do. Ever, 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 ever. It is. There's no substitute for coupling and coming together and making a relationship work. Believe me, there's no substitute. You want to make this relationship work. You want to make the person happy. And you deserve to be happy. And you want this person to make you happy. It doesn't happen if you don't let go of what's not right for you. Oh, well, he's not like that all the time. I could really learn to love. I don't want to learn to love someone because I think love should just flow. Don't you? It should just flow. And if it's not flowing, it's not love. You don't want to settle for somebody. You want that person that makes your heart skip a beat. often. You want that person that understands and gets you. And you can only find that if you let go. Well, Pastor Gia, I don't have anyone. I'm not involved with anyone. I just haven't met anyone. And that could be true. You could be out there single and just ready to mingle and just haven't mingled with the right person. So what do you say to that person? I say you need to get out there so you can be seen. How can he find you if you're nowhere to be found? Are you going out? Are you going out to dinner? Are you meeting with friends? Are you going to events? Are you going to church? I mean, you need to get out. You could be at the track or at the gym and meet somebody. Same kind of kismet, eyes meet the whole thing. You really have to get out there to be seen. Well, that's not true. I know of a couple who met online, never left their homes, and they lived happily ever after. They're one of my favorite couples, actually. So I think that, you got to still make an effort. Some people say, oh, love just happens when you're not looking for it. It does. That is true. But I think you ought to kind of get out there so you know what you're looking for. I mean, a lot of times we don't know what we're looking for. And when you don't know what you're looking for, you'll take anything. He looks good. She looks good. You need to know what's going to suit you. And Pastor G always says, in order to understand what you need, you must first understand who you are. You don't know who you are, then you won't know what to look for. You should know what makes you happy. You should have an understanding of who you are and who God wants you to be. Everyone has a destiny. I believe that. And you should know who you are. Well, shouldn't he know how can he know who you are when you don't know who you are? That's crazy. You must learn to be the person that God is calling you to be. You must learn to understand the person that he's made you. The Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. How are you made? I'm not talking about, mother and father coming together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 46 chromosomes, that go into making you. Who are you? You ought to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? Or I know who I am. If you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know who you are, you know what you like, what you don't like. If you can't say who you are, you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, who am I, and know who I am. It's time to take a look at who you are. It's time to take that journey and really try to figure out who you are. If you don't know what makes you happy, you can't expect another person to know. They just won't know. It's not fair to try to make them know. You need to know what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what your goals are, where you want to see yourself in 20 years, 10 years. However much time you have, you want to know who you are. I always say, if you meet the right person, if God gives you 10 years or 15 years or 8 years or even 4 years, if it is the right person, it is better to know happiness even for a short time than to never come to know it at all. It is a horrible thing for someone to go their entire life and never know love, to never know the love of another person. It's horrible. Or to never find the love of your life. Love doesn't always come the same. Sometimes it can come softly. Sometimes it comes in like a lion. However it comes, you should be there to receive it. You should be there to experience it. We don't know how long we have on this planet, this beautiful planet of ours. But one thing is for sure, if you experience love, it is the most wonderful thing you'll ever do. It is. Love is amazing. And so you want to experience it with the right person or you're cheating yourself. And you deserve to have the best. You deserve to have the best. Now, what's best for you may not be best for another person, but it's meant for you. And that is worth waiting for. It just is. It really is. Well, Pastor G, you just don't understand. I've just never found love and I'm just giving up on love. Good. Okay. Give up on it. Just say, you know what? I'm not going to look for it anymore. I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to let it overtake me. I'm going to allow it to find me. And however it finds me, I'll know when it happens. You'll know when it happens because you will have an understanding of what you want and who you are, right? You'll have an understanding. Without that understanding, you have no idea of what love is. No idea. Once you know who you are, you know how you want to be loved. You know the kind of person you want to love you. You know, you might meet someone who, oh, Pastor Gia, we argue all the time. He just argues and argues, and I don't like that about him. Then why keep him? No one wants someone that argues all the time. I don't. Absolutely not. I don't like yelling. I don't like the arguing. I don't like the yelling and screaming and all that. I just don't. And there's some women out there that love that. To them, that's passion. That's love. He loves me because he's yelling and screaming. Everybody doesn't relate that way. So you've got to find how you relate to love. So when you have that meeting, when you have that encounter, when you encounter the one, it's fate, it's destiny. You know it. You know who this person is. You know who you want them to be. They know who they want you to be. But if you don't recognize what you want within yourself, you're never going to encounter it. Or at least you will, but you won't know it when you see it. You won't know how to recognize it. That is not good. It just isn't. So, Pastor Gio wants to wrap this up by saying affairs are bad. You can choose not to have an affair by communicating with your partner, and a chance meeting when you are married can still just be a chance meeting and nothing more. You can walk away. But having the strength to walk away comes with communicating with your partner, saying, honey, I'm struggling. I'm having a problem. And sometimes, although your partner's feelings might be hurt, you communicate to your partner, they will rise to the occasion. I'm going to be better because I love us. I love what we have, and I'm not trying to lose that. And they'll rise to the occasion. Just communicate. How do you keep love from dying? You don't let it. You don't let the fires of love go out. I mean, you might get it burned all the way down to ashes and, flickers. You douse some kerosene on that stuff and strike another match. Make it happen. Make it hot. You have to be able to love your partner unconditionally. And put some spark back into that relationship. My goodness, you've been married all these years and you know each other's routines. Spice it up a little bit. Change up. Remind that person why they chose you, why you're the best, why there's none better than you. Engage. You have to. Now, to you people that are dating, if you're dating someone and he is lame or she is lame, you do not stay with them. or they check for your 20 boxes, they're not the one. Those boxes are not going to check themselves. They're either right or they're not right. This relationship is either good for you or it's not good for you. And if you can't think of 20 good reasons why it's good for you, or even 10, you have to let it go. The only person that is getting hurt is you. So you have to make a different choice, a better choice, a smart choice. Choose you. You will never go wrong with choosing yourself, choosing what you want versus what someone else wants. I just want to make them happy. What about your happiness? You don't deserve to be happy. And if you feel that way, something is wrong. And we need to take a look at that, because that is not good at all. It's just not. You can choose to be happy. Yes, you can. Oh, Pastor Gia, there's no happiness for me. That is a lie. Life is going to be what you make it. This is going to be what you want it to be. And you put work into this, into yourself. Figure out who you are. Figure out areas that you need to grow in. Become the woman you are destined to be. And then meet your destiny. It is possible. Well, Pastor G is going to cut out a little early tonight. Coming up for you, GCPR Radio family, Teen Nathan is going to be coming along. And I think it's amazing. He's amazing. We love him. And you're really going to enjoy his show. So, to my GCPR family, my radio family, from my heart to your home, thank you for listening. God bless you. And if no one's told you they love you, I love you. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. To my podcast family, I want to say that I appreciate the time that you took to listen. I hope that I helped a couple out there, or someone who's struggling with being single, or someone who's struggling in a relationship that they need to let go. I think that there's no substitute for the truth. Be honest. If you are miserable, if this is not doing it for you, let them go, because they can find someone who will love them. You can find someone who will love you. Okay? Right? We're going to let them go, and we're going to meet our destiny. We're going to meet our person, or our person is going to find us, because you will be available. You know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you have that unavailable look. You know, nobody's going to go up to somebody who's dating somebody else, or, there's not. I mean, sometimes it happens, but I mean, for the most part, if you look like you're unavailable, and if you're entangled with somebody that's wasting your time, then you're unavailable. You don't want to do that. Ever. So think about what Pastor G is saying. I know that there's a lot to take in. I know I've given you a lot to think about. You are worth more than you are giving yourself credit for. You are worth more than you know. You are special. There's only one person in this entire world like you. There will never be another. You are unique, and you are rare, and you are beautiful. And you deserve to be happy. I'm speaking to men and women. You deserve it. So go for it. All right, that's all the time Pastor Gia has for you tonight. Thank you for listening. Tune in next Wednesday from 9 to 11, and we will talk about this some more. Well, no, we'll have a different topic, but we'll just talk again. But anyway, from my heart to your home, thank you, and God bless you. And if no one has told you that they love you, I love you very much. You're my friends, you're my family, you're my audience, and I love you. God bless you. Have a good night. See you next week.